difficulty in speaking, you can chat also. I'll be checking the chat window now and then, and also after the end of the class, I'll see the chat box also. If you can speak out, you can speak. If not, you can see the chat box. Hold on, some students are willing to come. I'm just joining them. Welcome, Dr. Sweta. Okay. Okay, today this is a class on epilepsy. In fact, it is a sort of an introduction to epilepsy. And in this class, I'll be focusing predominantly on theoretical part. And in this class, I'm not taking any MCQs because epilepsy is a bit complex topic. So I thought, let us get the basics properly. Then in the next class, I will take on its MCQs. Okay. So epilepsy. Okay. So is the you all heard scissors word, scissors, convulsions? You must have heard convulsions, seizure, and epilepsy. Are all these three words same or different? Now I want you to know what is epilepsy and what is seizure, because it's very important. Can anybody tell me the difference between these two? Seizure is an episode of actually just an episode. Seizure is just an episode. See, most of the people can develop one or two episodes, one episode in their life. They may not be suffering from epilepsy. Just like seizure can be just one episode in life due to some metabolic derangement or some reason or hypoxia, something. Patient can develop seizure, whereas epilepsy is a disease per se, which comes recurrently more than once in life. So if the person is getting recurrent seizures, at least 2 plus, then we call him as person suffering from epilepsy. Okay, that is something you should understand. Seizure is not complete epilepsy. They should be seizure plus seizure like that. There are more episodes of seizure should be there to call somebody as suffering from epilepsy. Now, normally brain discharges how? Synchronously or synchronously. Can anybody tell me the normal discharges of the brain? Easy discharge, I'm telling. Easy discharge of the brain, whether it is synchronous or asynchronous. Yadgiri, can you tell? If you look at the diagnosis, you should tell me what I've written. Chaitanya? Now, normal brain discharge asynchronously. This can be an MCQ. So, normally the brain discharges asynchronously, whereas while having seizure, it becomes synchronous discharge. Focus on this. So, seizure is actually transient occurrence of signs and symptoms due to abnormal excessive synchronous neuronal activity in the brain. So, abnormally excessive synchronous discharge will happen that will lead to seizure, whereas the normal brain gives asynchronous discharge. Now, let us, what are the signs and symptoms? It could be motor, sensory, or behavioral. So motor, you have seen many of them: tonic, clonic, classic, myoclonic, many myoclonic scissors, tonic, clonic scissors, or tonic scissors. These are all motor component will be there, where there is a having a motor. For sensory means there will be feeling of sensations like numbness can be there, and it could be olfactory also, olfactory sensations, auditory sensations. The patient may hear some sounds, olfactory sensations. These sort of sensations can happen in episodes of seizure. So the epilepsy, if it involves, so this is the brain, this is the central sulcus, the two parts, this is a frontal part, this is a parietal part, and if there is a discharge coming from here, see laterally, this is a brain. So I'll give a better diagram. Hold on. Okay. Now this is the brain. Central sulcus is there. The two things here, and in this here and laterally, what is there here? Face. Then comes upper limb. Huh? Then comes abdomen. Then comes lower limb. Reverse like that. So if the discharge happening somewhere here, the patient may have what? Feeling of facial sensations, like that. There can be motor activity in the facial muscle. Twitching of the facial muscles can happen. Whereas same thing happen on the sensory part. Some discharges will give to feeling of numbness in that area. Hmm? So, and if it happens here, it will discharge somewhere from here, it will be what? Behavioral. Hmm? And if it happens from the olfactory region, they may feel like a very pungent odor, like kerosene smelling, odor feeling may be there. If it happens auditory cortex in the temporal lobe, here, if it happens in the auditory cortex, the patient will hear some sounds. So these are the ways the epilepsy can present. So seizure is a seizure can present. Sorry, and if it happens recurrently like that, then it becomes epilepsy. Now, a transient occurrence of signs and symptoms due to abnormal excessive synchronous discharge is a seizure. We'll go to the next slide. Now, seizure versus epilepsy, same thing. More than one seizure is epilepsy. Now, so the classification of seizures or epilepsy seizures has been changing a lot. In the latest is from the year 2017. This is given in Harrison. This table I have copied it from Harrison. So this is the 2017. So International League of Against Epilepsy classification. They have done it in this, published in this journal. So according to this, they have made a very simple classification for the helping the students. Somebody is trying to join. I will admit him. Okay. So in this, according to this classification, seizure is focal onset and that becomes focal onset. If the onset is grossly distributed to both the cerebral hemisphere, both. And one thing you should all know though, always know, seizures can come from cortex. It cannot come from brainstem and cerebellum. Always know that seizure doesn't come from brainstem, cerebellum, or spinal cord. It always comes from the cortex. Okay. So, generalized onset, it could be bilaterally on both cerebral hemispheres. If there is an onset, then it becomes a generalized onset. If it is occurring from one area, may or may not spread to other areas, even to the other hemisphere, then it is called still focal seizure. So focal seizure can be further described like this, with the intact level of consciousness and impaired level of consciousness. Always you should know that in generalized onset seizures, there is a loss of consciousness here always. Whereas in focal seizures, there may or may not be loss of consciousness. This is one thing you should remember. So generalized onset, there is a loss of consciousness. Whereas in focal onset, the patient may lose consciousness or may not lose the consciousness. Thus, the classification goes or description goes like this, with intact and impaired awareness, motor or non-motor. You can like this, and focal onset to bilateral tonic-clonic. So starting from one hemisphere, spreading to other hemisphere also, from right to left, it can transmit like that. So it is called focal onset. I'll come to the Jacksonian epilepsy. Focal onset, I'll discuss that in later. Okay. Now, generalized onset will be bilateral. It will be there. It can be tonic-clonic, atonic, myoclonic, absence, atypical absence. Many things are there. So, generalized onset it is. Uncommon onset is we really don't know. Unknown onset means you don't know how it is. That is unknown. So, this is the classification of seizures. This is the classification of seizures, not actually epilepsy. Focal onset seizures. Let us go further down, deep dive into focal onset. So the focal onset seizures can be discretely localized to particular point. It can, or it can be more broadly from the one single hemisphere. The area of onset could be very discretely localized, or from the one full hemisphere could be involved. The onset only. I'm talking about not secondary generalization. The onset of seizures here. It could be discretely localized or spreading to. Onset could be localized to one hemisphere. These seizures may evolve and focal and become later generalized. That's what I told you, all these things. Now, classification of focal onset seizures. How to classify them? Just now we actually discussed that it can be classified with impaired and intact consciousness. There is a spelling mistake, I believe. Fine. Based or associated with the motor activity or no motor activity. So you can classify with using consciousness or motor. So here in motor activity, it could be tonic, clonic, or myoclonic, or in non-motor. Okay, in a non-motor, see, it could be motor or sensory. Otherwise, focal onset seizures could be motor or non-motor means actually sensory. It could be more than sensory. That's why they put it as sensory. It could be like sensory, autonomic. Autonomic means what is autonomic manifestation? It could be what? Sweating, tachycardia, palpitations, and your urinary incontinence. All these things can come here. Autonomic, or it could be emotional. If it is coming from the frontal lobe, there can be emotional disturbance, or it could be auditory, olfactory, all these things, non-motor. Whereas motor, it could be myoclonic or tonic-clonic, or just like that, it can come. Okay, this is how the classification of focal seizures goes. Now I was discussing about the last choice here. These focal seizures can be classified focal onset with the later generalized. So that's what is nothing but Jacksonian march. It is described by the person, it goes by that. Jacksonian march. That means what happens is, this is a one cerebral hemisphere. It can start from the face here. There is one more cerebral hemisphere here on this side. Suppose it can start from the hemisphere, then spread like this. So the patient may develop symptoms on the fingers, and it can go up to symptoms will start with the hand. This is elbow, arm, this hand. It can start from here, go till here, then go to thorax, then spread like this. Then even can transmit to opposite half of the body. This kind of march that happens is Jacksonian epilepsy. So starting focally, getting slowly spread over to the rest of the area, it is Jacksonian march. Now, abnormal motor movement may begin very restricted region, and such that fingers are gradually progress over seconds to minutes to include the larger portion of the activity. That means starting with fingers, including forearm, including arm, including thorax, like that. Jacksonian march. Now, what is Todd's paralysis? Anybody? What is Todd's paralysis? Students? Raju? Mohan? What is it? Just now you joined, Mohan. What is Todd's paralysis? No, Todd's paralysis is actually temporary paralysis. It's not permanent. Todd's paralysis, what happens is the person will develop weakness or a paralysis of the limb following focal convulsions. Actually, localized paralysis for few minutes to hours. That means after that he will regain more often regain in involved region following. That means if there is a focal convulsions happening in the upper limb, in the fingers, or forearm, this region may go into paralysis. That is localized paralysis. That is called Todd's paralysis. Now let us learn this continuous term. Epilepsia partialis continua means it's not a big term. That means you must have heard about status epilepticus. That is basically we describe with the generalized seizures. Similarly, if it happens with the focal, Scissors, it is called focal scissors, which can keep on continuing from hours to days. It doesn't stop. Usually focal scissors will stop and get vanished in a short period of time. If they continue for hours together, then it becomes epilepsia partialia continua. Complex words, non-English words, they put it there. So making it more confusing. Like status epilepticus for generalized scissors, it is for focal scissors. Now let us try to understand this focal scissors with the impaired consciousness awareness. So impaired awareness means how it will be. Usually focal scissors, we expect that the loss of consciousness will not be there, but the patients may lose consciousness even in focal scissors. And what are those type? How they behave like that? So loss of normal contact with the environment. Patient will not be knowing. And in the past, these were called as complex partial scissors. In our when I was doing MD, these were called as complex partial scissors. That term and the other with the intact consciousness, they were called as simple partial scissors, and these were called as complex partial scissors. Now those complex words and making it more complicated, those words have been eliminated. They kept it a very simple words. Let us not complicate. They are very kind to students. These people, they do the big meetings now. Somehow this time they're kind to students. They removed that word complex and those terrifying words and made it simpler to remember. So focal scissors with the intact consciousness represents simple partial scissors of the past, and focal scissors with the impaired consciousness law it represents complex partial scissors of the past. Okay, so if the loss of consciousness, the impaired consciousness is there, then it is previous this one complex. Now let us not, you can't afford to forget those terms. Anyway, you will not be asked. If you try to read some MCQs in the past before 2017, there you may get the complex partial scissors, simple, those MCQs you may come across. Okay, but just know that they are actually focusing here. Loss of normal contact with the environment here. Yeah, there is a impaired awareness. Naturally, you expect it. Unable to respond appropriately to visual and verbal commands. These patients, because there is impaired awareness, how these things will not be there. And after that, patient will not be able to know what has happened. There is a loss of awareness. What has happened? He cannot recollect what has happened. These are the features of focal scissors with the impaired consciousness or awareness. Sorry. They may actually word awareness is correct. It is not consciousness. These patients, consciousness we evaluate with eye opening and all that. These patients may be opening their eyes, but they're not aware. They may be moving, because how to assess the consciousness level, which is that scale? Glasgow-Coma scale. If you apply that for focal scissors with impaired consciousness, probably it will be 15 out of 50. Very nice. Okay, because there will be motor, spontaneous motor, but they are unaware. That's what. But they're conscious, but they're unaware. That's the difference here. Whereas in a patient with generalized tonic-clonic seizures and generalized seizures, they have loss of consciousness. It is impaired awareness here. Whereas in generalized seizures, it is loss of consciousness will be there. That is something which you have to understand. The difference here. Of course, with the Jacksonian marks, the focal scissors can make the patient to lose consciousness also. Did I confuse you people? Okay. I hope I'm not. Why you people are not speaking? Are you able to hear me? Can you hear me? Vandana?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. You're understanding what I'm telling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hope so. If you got any doubts, you ask me. Otherwise, I'll be just going like this. Okay. Stages of focal scissors with the impaired consciousness. Awareness, sorry. See, I keep using wrong words. Awareness it is. Stages of focal scissors with the impaired awareness. What are the patients will go? Frequently begins with an aura. There will be aura there. Pre-ictal. That is a pre-ictal phase. And with the start of the ictal phase, the patient becomes motionless. He suddenly becomes motionless. And when the patient with after the start, they will have this automatism. Chewing, lip smacking, swallowing, picking, movements and all that. Display of emotions, running, they'll run away, start running like mad, because they are impaired awareness, but consciousness level is normal. Okay, so automatism will be there. These are automatism manifestations of this focal seizures. And after the post-ictal phase, antegrade amnesia. Our Americans favorite movie Ghazni. This is antegrade amnesia. I discussed about memory and amnesia in the previous class. You please see that. If you are getting confused here, there are retrograde amnesia is there, antegrade amnesia is there, and nice movie is also there. Ghazni on this antegrade amnesia. How many people have seen that movie? How many people have seen the movie? You don't see movies? You are all new people now. Only we old timers see movies, I believe. Okay, anyway. Antegrade amnesia will be there. Then transient neurological deficit, such as aphasia. What is aphasia? Chaitanya. Is a disorder of language, speech, or phonation. What is aphasia? Is a disorder of language. It is a disorder of language. Hemi-neglect, parietal lobe involvement. Of it, visual loss can be the transient. These are all the features of stages of focal seizures with impaired awareness. Previously, they were called as complex partial seizures. Anyway, generalized onset of seizures. Now, that is about focal onset seizures. Now, we'll go with generalized onset seizures. Here, the different things will come here. Typical upset seizures. Atypical is something is there. There is a typical, classical. Atypical is there. Absence. You just see that. This is petit mal actually. Is also called as petit mal epilepsy. In some previous MCQs, you may come across this word for typical absence seizure and atypical absence seizures. Okay, generalized tonic-clonic, otherwise grand mal epilepsy. Grand mal epilepsy. This one. Forget. You may afford to forget those terms. Generalized tonic-clonic seizures here. Then atonic seizures. Atonic. There can be here pure clonic, pure tonic. So generalized tonic seizures, they can present with the pure tonic seizures, pure or tonic seizures. They can present like this. And similar as there is a tonic opposite to that, there is a atonic seizures here. Okay, myoclonic seizures. Then epileptic spasms. You may wonder why myoclonic seizures it is. Why not? It may appear to you sudden throwing of one limb like this, like that in the air. It is a myoclonus. What is myoclonus? Patient will throw his limb suddenly in one direction. Suddenly he'll throw in another direction. They'll keep on throwing the limbs. That is myoclonus actually. And people may think it is a non-cortical thing, but fact is it is a cortical disease. So because it is a cortical disease, myoclonus is a epilepsy. If it is not a spinal cord disease. It is not a spinal cord disease. Myoclonus is a cortical disease. So it is called as myoclonic jerks. Myoclonic jerks are cortical in origin. This can be there. They can ask you this question. Epileptic spasm, these things come with the infants. We'll try to learn one by one. Try to go for the deep dive. Okay. So first we'll start with the typical absence seizures. They're also called as petit mal epilepsy. Okay, absence seizures. See, the patients are the involvement is for children. Children are involved with the typical absence seizures here, and they're sudden How the present is sudden, brief lapses of consciousness without loss of postural tone. So tone is preserved against atonic fissures. There is tone is present here. There can be without loss of postural control. Sorry, not tone, man. Sorry. It is I just wrongly told. It is control. They may not fall because the loss of this consciousness is very brief. Patient may just stand and we looking at you. I mean, especially school children, a teacher they'll start looking at blinking, or may just make few minutes, little bit blinking. See here, such small things they may. Patient students, teacher may be asking, why are you looking at me like that? And student may do it for some time and he'll recover. And student, the child will not be knowing what has happened. And this can keep on repeating 100 times in a day. And the child will not be aware of it. That is the future of these absence scissors. And probably sometimes some unlucky children may get bitten by the children's teacher, thinking that this guy, this student is misbehaving with me. They're looking at this blinking of eyelids, chewing movements, and all these things may irritate the teacher also. You can imagine that. And it keeps repeating recurrently. And student, teacher will tell, don't do like that. He'll do it once more. And he may get beaten by the teacher. And this leads to poor performance in the exam school. So the patient or a child whose absence is the presentation could be poor performance in the school. This blinking. See, the motor component of this absence scissor is very subtle, unlike in atypical scissors, because I'm specifically focusing here is very subtle, subtle. Bilateral motor signs may be there, very subtle, like little bit blinking of eyes, happening very for small seconds, may not be 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, that's all. Chewing movements may be there, and teacher may confuse your chewing gum like that. Little bit movement will do that too, lightly, not nicely. And small amplitude clonic movements in the hand. Clonic movements means tonic small movement can be there. These are the subtle motor signs will be there in a patient with the absence scissors or typical. In a atypical, these things are predominant. These things are predominant. In this typical, they are absent. If you can make it nicely, very clear, then think of atypical. If it is very subtle, then think of typical. So, no post-ictal confusion, you should know this. In absence patients, patient will go into scissor, come back as fast as gone out. See, conscience returns very suddenly back. Going into scissor, coming back. Suddenly, he will go somewhere and come back. Patient won't know he has gone. Like that, suddenly, can happen. Onset is usually in childhood and early adolescence. Scissors can occur 100 times in a day. See here, this is a problem here. And this is a favorite question of all the examiners in the MCQs. 3 Hz spike and slow wave move in EEG precipitated by hyperventilation. Okay, that's something about absence, typical absence. Now we'll think of atypical absence. Lapse of consciousness is for longer here. There is this just few seconds in typical, whereas in atypical it is longer loss of consciousness with less abrupt. Here in typical it is more abrupt. It is less abrupt, slow onset and slow cessation. In typical it is fast onset, fast cessation. More obvious motor signs here, as I told you, and lateralizing signs can be there. Slow spike and slow wave pattern with the frequency less than 2.5. Here it is in a typical it is 3 Hertz. Here it is less than 2.5. And the patient will be having some CNS diseases along with this. These are typical scissors patients. Mental retardation, abnormal structural abnormality of the brain can be there. A patient who is suffering from typical scissors patients will have that, and they are not very nicely responding to anticonvulsant compared to typical scissors. They respond well to anti-epileptic drugs, whereas these patients are typical. These people may not respond to anti-convulsant drugs. because there is a gross structural abnormality. Because of that, these atypical scissors, absent scissors may not respond. Whereas in a typical absence, structural abnormality is not there, they'll respond like that, something like that. Now, we'll go to this most common epilepsy or a seizure, what you see in practice, that is generalized tonic-clonic seizures. I told you a patient we can have only tonic, only clonic, or both. Both is common, but anyway. So when it has patient has got only tonic, it is called as pure tonic. When patient has got only clonic, it is called as pure clonic. So 10% of all patients have epilepsy are generalized tonic-clonic. Most common type is a metabolic derangement. Most common type with, so a patient, not the cause for not like that. A patient who has got a metabolic derangement, if he develops seizures, he'll present with generalized tonic-clonic seizures. Of course, they can have abnormal behaviors like hypoglycemia. Patient can have abnormal behavior. Those things are there. When metabolic derangement, they develop with generalized tonic-clonic seizures only. Begins with the predominant symptoms. Unlike aura of a focal, these predominant symptoms last longer. Long duration headache. Patient will have long headache before that. Some vague sensation happening for hour together before that. Then may throw a conversion. That is the feature of this generalized tonic-clonic. Whereas in focal onset seizure is not like that. Aura comes and hits. So now that generalized tonic-clonic seizures are staged. Usually there is a tonic phase first and followed by clonic phase. Okay. Now let us understand what is clonic phase, which comes first. So I told you the prodromal symptoms here. Then we are going to ictal phase. That is during the conversion here. So during the tonic phase, the tonic contraction of the muscles throughout the body will happen. And if it happens to the laryngeal muscles, the patient will have ictal cry, ictal, shout, make a big noise. And the people may be really after, let us know. They may try to know what is happening. Okay. Tonic phase. Due to this, laryngeal spasm, the respiratory muscle spasm, there could be manifestation of cyanosis. So, patient with a tonic-clonic seizures during tonic phase, there can be a manifestation of cyanosis. What are site of cyanosis? You get central cyanosis or peripheral cyanosis here. If you get cyanosis, do you all people know central cyanosis, peripheral cyanosis? Friends, tell me something about central cyanosis and peripheral cyanosis. Central cyanosis is because of oxygenation of the blood. Peripheral cyanosis is because of distribution of the blood. There is an oxidation problem and distribution problem. Manufacture problem, transportation problem. Oxygenation, if you consider it as a manufacture, it is a respiratory disease and a heart disease. And if there is a local ischemia or slow circulation, then it becomes peripheral cyanosis. Okay, because peripheral cyanosis happens because due to stagnation of the blood, the more and more oxygen is extracted from the periphery. The patient will develop cyanosis because of that. Peripheral cyanosis. In central cyanosis, the manufacturer problem is there. Oxygenation of the blood is having problem here. So you need to oxygenate the patient. COVID patients develop what sort of cyanosis? Now tell me. COVID patients, they develop what?
Central.
Yeah, good. They develop central cyanosis. Very good. Now, due to this contraction, the jaw muscles can bite their own tongue. That's why don't try to poke anything in patients, tonic-clonic patients' mouth. Some people try to push a handkerchief and the patient may bite their finger. And you may actually kill the patient because you may push the tongue back and it will obstruct the pharynx and patient will die because of hypoxia. Never push anything into the mouth. Even if he is biting his tongue, keep quiet. Don't try and do anything because you are not going to help the patient. Just keep quiet because you can't help him. And whatever you try to put, he'll bite that also and break it. Because the person who is very muscular can bite. We have seen patients breaking their own bones due to this clonic seizures. Especially shoulder joint dislocation, humeral fracture. We have seen a good number of patients like that. So the power of contraction so gross. The muscles, all the muscles will contract at once. Though it is a very highly powerful contraction. Don't try to put anything anywhere. It will break. And that breaking can damage more. It can become a sharp object and poke his palate and cause further problems. Don't do anything. There is a MCQ on that. That's what I'm telling you. Don't put anything anywhere. In between the fingers, if you put you may break his one phalanx. Don't do anything. Leave him alone. Actually, a patient who is suffering from chronic seizures should be given enough space to convalesce. That's the best thing that you can do in a non-hospital setting. So you always educate your friends and this one. If the patient starts convulsing, allow him to convulsate. Don't try to hold anywhere. If you hold anywhere, you may actually break his bones. Because the body contractions will not stop. You will put a wrong traction somewhere and it may dislocate, tendons will tear, something will happen. Leave him alone. He may injure the muscles and all that. So allow him to convulsate in a less risky place. That's all. The height of the building, all those things, train track and all that, you have to take into consideration. Increased sympathetic tone here happens. That can cause blood pressure, tachycardia, pupillary size, heart rate, sweating. All things can happen in a patient with the tonic-clonic convulsions. In a tonic phase of tonic-clonic convulsions. This is a tonic phase. Now we'll go to clonic phase of tonic-clonic seizures. It lasts for 10 to 20 seconds after the tonic phase. Actually, the clonic phase is actually relaxation over the toned muscles. Patient will relax in between, again he will go into contraction. That becomes tonic-clonic. You're getting me? What is a clonic phase? It is nothing but superimpose muscle relaxation over the tonic muscles. So in a tonic phase, there is a continuous contraction. In clonic phase, in between there is a relaxation. That means the patient has gone into a actually improved state from tonic phase. He has improved. The convulsions actually come down. Superimposed relaxation over the toned muscles is clonic phase. No, relaxation progressively until the end of the C. That's what. Initially the clonic phase you will throw more like this. What happens is tone will be like this. When the superimposed relaxation happens, you can see the convulsions. So the relaxation phase increases like this and the convulsion decreases. So relaxation progressively increase until the end of the ictal phase. That's how it is. And the tone will also come down equally. At the end of the convulsion, tone will also come down. And this lasts less than a minute. Post-ictal phase, generalized unresponsiveness will be there, muscle facility will be there, excess salivation can be there, and this salivation can aspirate and cause stridors, breathing problem, partial airway obstruction can happen, and bowel and bladder incontinence happens during post-ictal phase. Regain of consciousness over the minutes to hours. Headache, fatigue, muscle all be there. Patient may start complaining. Allowing after the post-ictal phase, these things can come into picture. Easy. Generalized tonic-clonic seizures. There's a tonic during the tonic phase, the progressive increase in a generalized low voltage. So generalized low voltage complex, low voltage fast activity. So generalized low voltage voltage will be there. When it goes into clonic phase, high amplitude activity will come. So voltage will come down. When it comes to clonic phase, the voltage in between voltage increases. That's what it is. Then in post, so there is again diffuse suppression of all cerebral activity. But however, there is a fast activity here. But there is a decreased activity. So voltage is down, but activity is more. Fine. Here, in between there is a increased voltage. Here, cerebral activity itself will come down. Now, let us go to atonic seizures. Sudden onset, sudden loss of postural muscle tone is actually loss of posterior muscle tone lasting for only 1 to 2 seconds. So because it lasts for such a short span, the patient may not fall down, just there can head drop and nodding movement a little bit. Because last is when tone of the muscles falls goes, there is a flaccid fall actually. But 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 it is only lasting for 1 to 2 seconds. Actually, patient may not fall because of this. And of course, there is a loss of consciousness here because it is generalized seizure to begin with. And no postictal confusion. No postictal, I written twice, sorry. One, eliminate that. EEG will show spike and wave discharge, followed immediately by diffuse slow waves. Similar to pure tonic seizures, tonic seizures are usually seen in association with the known epilepsy syndromes. We'll go to that. There are many in epilepsy syndromes. The important ones I'll discuss. So the what are myoclonic seizures? I told you the myoclonic is a sudden jerky movement of the arm or limb. There is a jerky movement of the body, part of the body or the entire body. So physiologically, you may have my sleep that you're falling from the cot. Those things can happen. Myoclonic, sudden jerky movements can be seen. That is there. That is benign. Sometimes it is physiological. It is because it is happening to the cortex, it is called as epilepsy. Bilateral synchronous, see again synchronous. So normal brain is asynchronous, where epilepsy is synchronous. So bilateral synchronous spike and slow wave discharge. It is bilateral in origin. So epileptic spasms are seen in infants. Briefly sustained flexion of the flexion or extension. Predominantly proximal muscles. Hyperaspect can be there. Now we'll go to epilepsy syndromes. So there are 3 syndromes which I'm going to discuss. Juvenile myoclonus epilepsy. Many MCQs are asked after this question. Syndromes. That's why I'm going. Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. Mesial temporal lobe epilepsy syndrome. So these are the 3. These are the 3 syndromes which I will discuss. There are many more. They may not, frequently they not ask questions on this. But these things they are asking frequently. No. Juvenile myoclonus epilepsy. As the name suggests, it is a myoclonus. There is a myoclonic jerk here. So cause is actually unknown. It is seen in the early adolescence. Characterized in the morning after awakening. So they may say during sleep patient was having some movements and all that. Don't diagnose it. Then questions they'll put like that. During sleep, the patient was having repeated movement during sleep. This it may not be juvenile myoclonus epilepsy. Because benign physiological epilepsies, you may see it before the sleep. You may get confused there. That's why. Juvenile myoclonus epilepsy is mostly seen after the morning awake. Consciousness is preserved, last in severe cases. Know this. These syndromes are not necessarily generalized or focal. Syndromes could be many. So consciousness is preserved, but lost in severe cases. Okay. May also have a generalized tonic-clonic associated with that and observed seizures. These patients, not juvenile myoclonus epilepsy, can have these also along with them. Sometimes that, sometimes this, sometimes they throw a tonic-clonic, sometimes they will develop myoclonus, sometimes they have a absent seizures. Respond well to anticonvulsant therapy, and these patients will have family history of epilepsy. Juvenile myoclonus epilepsy. Let us go to this Lennox-Gastaut syndrome. So I'll have a water now. 1 second. Lennox-Gastaut syndrome is multiple seizure types. Yeah, in these patients can have multiple seizure types. So this is generalized tonic-clonic or tonic atypical absence. Remember this. Whereas here it is typical. Hmm. So atypical absence means bad prognosis. Actually. Generalized tonic, clonic, atypical absence. Slow, 3 words with their impaired cognitive function. That is because of structural disease of the brain. Huh? Causes are de novo mutations, development abnormalities, trauma, and all that. Acquired lesions. I think so. Which is that Christian. First part. What is the first part? Anybody can tell me? He'll develop some head injury na? Because of that. You'll be having some scissors in there? I think so. Okay. Trauma. Just I'm trying to make you feel that you can, because you'll be having cognitive problem. You'll be having trauma in a, when that Hrithik Roshan was in his womb, mother's womb. He will because of the aliens ship will come, and that will cause for accident. So he will have the trauma of the brain, and after the birth, patient will be having mental retardation because of that, and he'll be having abnormal behavior. I don't know whether they're shown convulsions for him. Let us add it for the sake of remembering. Huh? Hrithik Roshan, you remember? Hmm? In the first part, you have to see for that. That is a Krish is his son actually. First part, I don't know, not able to recall the name. Koi mil gaya? No, not koi mil gaya. Just find out. Okay. That is parietal ischemia, infection, all these things, acquired lesions, and these have poor prognosis. Hmm? But that Hrithik Roshan, that father will become great scientist. That is different story. But actually, these people have poor prognosis. So now let us go to this mesial temporal lobe epilepsy syndrome. Ah. So mesial temporal lobe, where is temporal lobe? This is a brain. This is a temporal lobe here down, and medial part, medial part, where you got a hypothalamus. Hypothalamus there. It nothing is a sclerosis on the MRI scan, and refractive to anti-conversions, but they do well to the surgical intervention. Common syndrome also with the focal seizure. See, this is mesial temporal lobe epilepsy is a focal seizure with the impaired level of consciousness, impaired awareness actually. Impaired awareness it is. Okay. Anyway, sometimes we use it very loosely and because of that. So refractory to anticonvulsant therapy. Approach to a patient of epilepsy. How do you approach the patient now? Acutely ill, first always go and protect his heart and lung. Otherwise, patient will die. Look whether patient is aspirated, whether he is having cyanosis. Treat that, save his life, then think what to do. After that, you think of treating CNS infection, metabolic derangement, drugs, surgery, whatever it is there. So acutely ill. And in non-acute ill patient comfortable walking, then first confirm whether he has got epilepsy or convulsion. Sometimes there are many different diagnoses. I'll come to that. A syncope, many are there, which can be wrongly diagnosed as epilepsy or seizure. So confirm. Cause for seizure, try to pick it up, find out whether it's a metabolic infection or a patient is a known case of epilepsy, stop treatment, under treated, or has complicated with something else, and think of treating him. That's the approach you should have in brain. When you come across a patient with seizure. Now let us briefly try to understand the algorithm. It is a very simple, although it looks very complicated. In the next slide, it is right. It is very brief. Fine. Very brief will go. Okay. So history of convulsions, a patient comes now. First exclude this. Syncope, exclude. Migraine, acute psychosis, other causes exclude. And when you are confirmed it is epilepsy or seizure, then try to know whether a patient is a known case of epilepsy or if it is a new case of epilepsy, a new case of seizure. Not no, confirm. If it is known, then the approach will be a bit different from the new case. Now, it looks very complicated, but it's not a big thing here actually. These are taken from Harrison. So, a patient who is a known case, find out why he is having convulsions now. Known case means you expect him that he is taking treatment properly. Assess the adequacy of anti-epileptic drug. proper diagnosis, correct treatment is going on or not. And if it is not going, you have to rectify that. And try to know whether he has developed this electrolyte imbalance, serum glucose, liver, kidney problem, all that, the toxicology, whether taken some poison. Check these things. And if it is not there, then focus on the drugs. If these things are there, then focus on this side. Think of the complicating agent and try to solve it. And if subtherapeutic dose is there, still conversions, increase the dose. The dose is adequate. The anti-convulsant drug is adequate. Try to think of changing or increasing the dose till the patient side effects are not there like that. Keep in that mind and do. A new case comes, then your thing is nothing but to diagnose, confirm, see for this precipitating factors, then positive metabolism screen, treat them, and if there is anything like this, infections and all that, you have to think of doing lumbar puncture, endocrine workup, CT, MR, and all that, and treat accordingly. And if there is nothing like with this, then you start thinking, am I dealing with a patient of epilepsy? This is not a case of epilepsy here in this stream, where this is a case of epilepsy. Then treat accordingly. Now, what are the differential diagnosis for seizures? It could be syncope, it could be psychological, it could be metabolic, psychoactive drugs, migraine, it could be transient ischemic attacks. I will give these slides to you in classroom. I'll share them. You can check it. In the materials, I'll add it. You can see that there also. Movement disorders, it could be. These are differential diagnoses for seizures. Okay. Now the first most common problem what we think when a patient of tonic-clonic conversions comes. Now the issue is whether I am dealing with a syncope or a seizure. How this is a table from Harrison, nothing else. It is from Harrison. Immediate precipitating factors, whether are there, and if they are like emotional stress and all that, it is a syncope. It is syncope. Fine. And a premonitory symptoms, aura, it is seizure. If not, like tiredness, nausea, diaphoresis, it is this tunneling of vision. Tunneling of vision is something more towards syncope. That means the visual fields, it starts shrinking. It becomes more narrow and narrow. Tunneling, clouding of will be there. The rest of the you can see like that. Vignette effect. What is that vignette? See, if you have seen any photos, old photos, there centrally the more whiter as you go periphery. Vignette will call such things. Vignette. Because in CG computer graphics they try adding that. Vignette effect. So posture at onset, this is variable, but syncope patients are usually erect. Transition of unconsciousness often immediate, but here it is slow. The patient will lose consciousness very suddenly in seizure, whereas here it goes slowly. During duration of unconsciousness is minutes. Here it is seconds. Focal appearance during event. Cyanosis will be there. Yeah, something. There is cyanosis here, but there is a pallor here. Cyanosis here in syncope, there can be during tonic phase, there can be cyanosis, but there is a pallor that is due to decreased circulation. Disorientation, sleepiness, maybe there, aching, pain, and all these things. Okay, biting of tongues, sometimes, but very rarely in syncope. Incontinence sometimes can happen in both. Headache, common seizure, but very unlikely in syncope. Now, something about psychogenic seizures. We'll try to learn that because a patient can have psychological problems and also come to you with seizure manifestations. How to know whether patient is having seizure manifestation? Real seizures are malingering or acting patient. You have to use some trick. So, if patient is moving his head side to side, moving head side to side, asymmetric. So one limb is having a larger movement, other limb is having a slower movement than asymmetric movement. Psychogenic seizures. And twitching of all four limbs suddenly. Pitching, pelvic thrusting, something. Pelvic thrusting is there now. And patient is having bilateral movement, but still is having consciousness. It is psychological. It is longer clonic phase lasting more than a minute, not ending only. And it may wax and wane. Patient will throw some convulsions. When he become tired, he'll become keep quiet. Again, he'll start throwing convulsions. Because of his tiredness, he may act longer like this. So this is psychological how to. These are the points which you should use. Still, with all these things, there are good actors who can act very well and put you in trouble. Actually, now a patient who is a known case of epilepsy are more prone to show pseudo seizures because they know how to act. They are well trained in that. That is a real problem for us because a patient who is on epilepsy patient, he knows to get his work done, he may act. For that, he will throw a convulsion and bring everybody to his terms. They can do that. Pseudo seizures are common in patients of epilepsy only. So that's all in this class. You people have any doubts? I wish to know how many are there. 7 are there. Okay. Anything you ask me now? Any chat? Nothing. Chaitanya, any doubts?